This workshop will explore ways to write a first-class assignment. This session will provide an overview of the typical assignment and also provide general writing tips. Most assignments consist of 3 parts: the introduction, the main body, and the conclusion. Most assignments follow this structure. Whether you do an exam or an essay or even a presentation, it will follow this structure. A presentation is essentially an oral assignment. We will start with the introduction. A typical introduction consists of 3 parts. Number 1, start the assignment with a problem scenario, state the aim of the assignment, and provide an overview of the assignment. We will explore each of these 3 parts in more detail. Number 1, start the assignment with a problem scenario. The problem scenario is the first sentence or 2 in your introduction. The problem scenario introduces the audience to a problem that you are trying to solve. You have problematized the assignment question. You have transformed this assignment question into a problem. A problem scenario is designed to grab the audience's attention. Immediately, we want to demonstrate that we are invested in this assignment. This is not a vanity project. The assignment means something. Everyone should be interested in this topic, so we try to stir up interest through writing a problem scenario. The problem scenario is essentially saying something is getting worse, something needs to be remedied, there's a contradiction that needs to be resolved, there's a lack of literature. All of this is a problem. Some examples. Also, there is no need to exaggerate the problem. Do not embellish the problem. Do not overstate the problem. For example, all the trees are dying, the earth is dying, nobody will live through this. Relax, tone it down, keep it conservative, keep it boring, like these examples. I'll play 3 examples from Birkbeck's 3-minute PhD thesis competition. Each of these examples start their presentation with a problem scenario that tries to grab the audience's attention. The clips are around 20 to 30 seconds each.
Every year, 5 billion people are at risk of infection from malaria. Of that, 212 million are actually infected. And in 2015, 419,000 lost their lives to this disease. Most of them were under the age of 10, with a staggering association with poverty. My PhD aims to provide new material in this fight by looking at a molecule and atoms in the malaria.
Notice the way that he tied the problem to the aim of his PhD. His PhD is a means to solve or address this problem. This gives his PhD a noble cause, a noble purpose. It is not just some random research. The aim of his PhD means something. His aim has real value.
Now, imagine you want to predict the future. A machine learning approach would look at occasions in the past where conditions were similar to now, and then just seeing what happened next. For this to be any good at all, it requires lots of data, dozens of tests taken from hundreds of patients. And the problem with that is that it is expensive and time-consuming to conduct.
Hello, everyone. So academic research has earmarked selling as being very key to the success of new venture. However, there is very little said about how a prior experience of, say, the entrepreneur that is found in the venture impacts on the venture creation process. So this is a focus of my thesis, to understand the influence of a previous selling experience on the development of entrepreneurial skills and subsequent venturing, especially in women.
Once again, she cleverly ties the problem with the aim of her PhD. She said that the problem was a lack of literature, so the aim of her PhD will be to provide this much needed information. As I mentioned, when you point out a problem, your assignment can save the day. You have highlighted a problem for your assignment to solve or for you to address. You are the superhero with a noble purpose. After the problem scenario, you should state the aim of your assignment. The aim is when you let the reader know the central purpose of your assignment. What is the central mission of your assignment? This is the most important part of the introduction. If you have no clear aim, you have no assignment. To get your aim, you simply reword or rephrase the assignment question. It is that simple. So this is the assignment question. Then from this, reword this assignment question to get our aim. Just reworded the original assignment question. As you can see, the aim is very clear and direct. To maintain clarity, make sure that the aim is just one clear and direct sentence. My supervisor used to say, if you can't explain your research in one sentence, then there is a problem with your research. Now that you have your aim, you must be faithful to your aim. Every paragraph has to stay in line with this aim. You cannot lose sight of this aim. The aim is the foundation of your house. Each brick or paragraph that you add must be in line with this aim. Maintain your aim at all costs. Also, my rewording of the aim has given me ownership of the topic. This is my project now. This is my narrative now. Another example, this is a typical assignment question. Then you simply reword the assignment question to get your aim. Another example, this is an assignment question. Then you simply reword the assignment question to get your aim. There are levels to writing a good aim. Imagine this was our assignment question. Critically analyze the main theories of leadership. This is a basic aim derived from the assignment question. This is like the previous examples. Very basic. It is fine, but basic. This is a more advanced aim with more detail. It is reworded with more detail. The marker has a clearer idea of what this assignment is about. An even more advanced aim. The student has created a narrative by rewording the assignment question. They have an angle now. They are still critically analyzing the main theories of leadership, but they have a reason now. They have a story now. The highest marks are reserved for being creative and innovative. Even though you are covering the same topic, you want your assignment to be distinguished from your classmates. But it is risky. It can go wrong. It is also a gamble. So I recommend having a discussion with your lecturer. Show him or her your ideas. Another creative option, maybe for about 70 to 80% of your assignment, you focus on a practical example or you focus on a case study. You focus on a practical example to explore how these theories are implemented in real life. You give flesh and bones to these theories. Maybe you believe that Walmart's leadership program is the perfect vehicle to explore leadership theories. You would need to justify why you have selected Walmart for your case study. Once again, have a discussion with your lecturer and justify why this would be a good idea. Or perhaps do not make this your central aim. You can just write a very small section in your assignment about a case study to prove your point. Another creative option is to use a theory or a model or a framework to analyze your assignment. Once again, you are answering the question, but you have an angle now. Only use a theory or model or framework that you have explicitly discussed in your module. And also, you will need to justify why you are adopting a theory, model, or framework to analyze the assignment question. Do not get too adventurous and have a discussion with your lecturer. After you write your aim, you should provide an overview of your assignment. Just by reading your introduction, I should know your entire assignment. There should be no surprises. So whenever you write an assignment, always provide an overview. In this example, I have colored the overview in different colors to show the different sections of the assignment. This is just an example. You may choose to cover different areas. In red is the first area, in blue is the second area, in green is the third area. When you write your assignment, you should think about your assignment in sections. Do not jumble everything together. Do not confuse different sections. You have to be strict. You have to be almost religious. So in this example, in the first area, the red area, your focus is utilizing agency theory. Do not stray into other areas. Just focus on utilizing agency theory. In the second area, the blue area, you will focus on whether voluntary and mandated standards should be investor focus. Do not mix with other areas. In the last area, the green area, you will focus on the factors that are likely to derail the standard setting process. Do not drift off into another area. In summary, when you approach an assignment, try to see it in sections. I'm going to cover this section first, then I'll cover this section next, then I'll cover this section next, and all of these sections will directly address the assignment question. This is very important. Your marks will increase if you apply this type of focus. Here is an example of an introduction. It should be one fat paragraph like this. It should be the first paragraph of your essay. I have colored the paragraph to highlight the different sections. The problem scenario is in green, the aim is in black, and the overview is in red. Finish the introduction now. Let's look at the main body. It includes several matters in your main body. Use theory, models, or frameworks to analyze the issue. Definitely, you need critical analysis. Signposting, referencing / citing. Using models or theories or frameworks in your assignment is an excellent way to enhance your grade, but you should only use models, theories, or frameworks that you have explicitly discussed in your module. Do not be too adventurous. You use the model, theory, or framework as a lens to look at a specific issue. For example, your assignment asks you to investigate the investment policy of UK banks. So you use a theory, model, or framework as a way to focus on a specific aspect. Because the investment policy of UK banks is very broad, there's too much to think about. But when you use a theory, a model, or framework, you are able to focus on a specific aspect. For instance, if I use the critical feminist lens to look at investment policy in the UK, I may be looking at the number of women employed within this sector. I may use the critical race theory to look at investment policy in the UK, and I'll be looking at a specific thing. I may use stewardship theory, and I'll be looking at a specific aspect. Or I may use agency theory or PAT and be looking at a specific aspect. Like in writing, the student has started this paragraph by defining the model. In blue, whenever you mention a theory, model, or framework in your assignment, you should always define it first. Don't just start applying a theory, always define it first. When you define it, make sure that the definition is from a journal article or a book. This is followed by linking words in green. The student needs to link the theory with their assignment topic. These linking words takes the model from the generic towards the specific. Then in red, the link happens. The student links Lewin's model with his or her assignment topic. So they take a generic concept and apply it specifically to the information in their assignments. Another example, define ACF and apply it to the specific information in your assignment. Very simple formula. Definition, linking words, specific assignment topic. Some students believe just because you mention a theory or a model or a framework in your assignment, you will get a good grade. No, the marker wants to see application of that framework, theory, or model. Likewise, if you just included information with no linkage to the literature, no linkage to theory, no linkage to models or frameworks, your grade will also suffer. We'll now discuss critical analysis. Number 1. The best type of critical analysis is to critique a scholar with the words of another scholar. I've realized that this gives students the best marks. So when you critique a scholar with the words of another scholar, make sure you do it in a prominent place. Be very explicit about this. We went through this last week. We learned how to get the information from scholars to critique other scholars. Number 2, another type of critique is for you to critique a scholar directly. You personally critique a scholar. In next week's workshop, we will learn about how to critique a scholar directly without the need to refer to other scholars. An example of critical analysis would be this. You put the positives against the negatives, the opportunities against the hurdles, the advantages versus the disadvantages, the benefits versus the harms. Here's what it looks like in writing. So perhaps you start with a positive. You want to affirm something. Then you bring, however, you go in another direction. You bring something much more negative. And at the end of the paragraph, you bring your voice in. So weighing up both sides, weighing up this positive and weighing up the negative, you reach a verdict. This is the verdict sentence that comes at the end of the paragraph. Because you've done the work, you've displayed both types of evidence and choose a winner. Either the positive or the negative, and explain why. Justify your answer. If you can link your verdict to the literature, that's even better. Another form of critical analysis is to look at different perspectives. Looking at one issue, then discussing how different parties view that same issue. In this picture, 2 different sides are looking at one object, but they view it from different positions. So it looks different to both parties. One side sees it as a W, the other side sees it as an M, but it is the same object. Likewise, there's a central problem or issue. So you describe how this issue is viewed by the retail sector. Then you describe how the same issue is viewed by the local government. Then you describe how the same issue is viewed by the stakeholders. Then you come in, you understand each side's perspective. You see the bigger picture. You're almost hovering over everybody from a bird's eye view. This is the epitome of critical thinking. The origin of the word critic is the one who separates or distinguishes or characterizes or categorizes. And this is what you are doing. You are separating different points of view. Regarding this form of critical analysis, here's what it looks like in writing. So you state the number of perspectives, you identify and explain the first perspective, identify and explain the second perspective, and you could carry on, maybe have a third and a fourth and a fifth perspective. Then at the end, you state your verdict. And you'll see a pattern here. I always want students to make a verdict. This takes it to a high level of critical analysis. You're not just regurgitating information, but you're actually putting forward a verdict. Just some general writing tips. I just want to talk very briefly about referencing and citing. So imagine that you've seen this book and you want to use this book in your assignment. You take the words out and you paraphrase these words, you pull it into your own words. Then you put the citation, which is the surname of the author, Mintzberg, and the year that the book was published, 2015. Or if it was an organization, then you put the name of the organization and the year that it was published. Never put a website address here. Always put the organization's name or the author's surname. And at the end of your assignments in your bibliography, you put the full reference, the surname, the initial, the title of the book, where it was published, who published it. It is very important to cite all of the time. Whenever you introduce new information into your assignment, please cite. You may be penalized for underciting, but you will never be penalized for oversighting. So if in doubt, please cite the majority of your work. The more citations you have in your work, the more marks you will get. At least 2 to 3 citations per paragraph, at least. So standard costing is defined as predetermined estimates of the cost of products and services. In this situation, you would cite the source. Whenever you define something, always try to define it from a journal article or a book. Never define it from a dictionary, and don't try to define it yourself. Standard costing had advantage and disadvantage. There's no citation needed here. It says a piece of general information. Then the student goes on to list the advantages. Yes, in this situation, you would need to cite the source. In this situation, you will need to cite the source, and the disadvantages as well. You will need to cite the source, because there's no way that you can know the advantages and disadvantages without having read something. So if in doubt, cite as much as you can. And cite from a variety of sources. Don't use the same sources all the time. Simpson 2002, Simpson 2002, Simpson 2002. Mix it up a bit to show diversity, to show that you've read around, show that you've read a lot of the literature. To enhance the structure and clarity of your assignment, you need to signpost. This is crucial. It's difficult to understand your assignment without signposting. Signposting is when you provide commentary to explain the reasoning and structure of your assignment. This commentary happens throughout your assignment. You inform the reader about the twists and turns. You inform the reader about your reasoning and transitions. There is also a more blunt reason. The truth is, the person marking your work has tons of assignments to look at. You need to make it easier for him or her by making your structure simple and clear with no room for misinterpretation. Make it simple, make it plain. Signposting is a way to do this. But be very liberal with signposting. Maybe once or twice every few pages. Do not over signpost or it makes your work seem tedious. So there are 2 types of signposting. The first of which is that you explain the logic. So in this situation, the student would use agency theory to assess if voluntary and mandated standards are likely to have different economic consequences. Rather than jump straight into it, the student has this sentence beforehand, so the person reading their work knows what it is. So if you're going to introduce a case study, please explain what you're doing. Don't just introduce the case study. Make sure that the link is there and the reasoning for introducing that case study is there. And the second type is to signify a transition. As you make it through your work, the twists and turns of your work, it's almost like you're holding somebody's hand gently and you're taking them through your work. Turning now to the second issue. Moving on from the definition, it's important to do this. Another significant aspect of this, in addition to the above issue, is important to ask. So signifying transition is very important. But like I said, do not overdo it. once or twice a page or once or twice every few pages. Be very liberal when you signpost, but make sure if you're turning to a new section in your work, make that very clear. Or if you're about to introduce something, make the logic very clear.
The Academic Phrase Bank is a general resource for academic writers. This is a free service open to all. It was created for you by academics in the University of Manchester. These academics created a bank of popular phrases and keywords from academic publications. You can copy phrases from this bank and put it straight into your assignment. This is not considered plagiarism. You are not stealing other people's ideas because the phrases are content neutral and generic in nature. Even though the bank was designed for writers who are non-native speakers of English, native writers may still find much of the material helpful. In fact, recent data suggest that the majority of users are native speakers of English. On the left of the screen, you'll find several scenarios: being cautious, being critical, classifying and listing, compare and contrast. Select whichever scenario is relevant to your assignment, then click. You will find further subheadings which contain useful phrases that you can use for your assignment. You may need to be creative and adapt these phrases to suit the needs of your assignment.
Just to end now with the conclusion. What's your overall viewpoint on the topic? You've reached the top of the mountain now. You've done all of the reading, all of the research. What is your viewpoint? What is your verdict on this whole topic? What's the central message of your assignment? What is the central message of your assignment? And also, what is the significance of your assignment? Why is your assignment significant? And if you do have time, if you do have space, if you do have enough word count, from the evidence that you have gathered from the main body, can you predict any future developments in the near future? The key thing about the conclusion is not to put any new information. So if you was going to predict any developments, it'll be something that you hinted at in the main body of your assignment. So these are the crucial things. So there's not much need for references in this section because you've done all the proving, you've done all of the heavy lifting in the main body. The conclusion is just a nice bow that you tie at the end of your assignment. So what is your overall viewpoint? What is the significance of your assignment? And if you have time, if you have space, if you have the word count, from the evidence that you have gathered in the main body, can you predict any future developments?